timed out, of course. Dimming out there. Hello, everybody! Welcome in! Thank you for the celebrate Soph. Also, thank you for the celebrate earlier, Vampy. Enjoy your lurk, Vampy, along with Asfar as well. Thank you for the resubscribing! Resubscription. Thank you for resubscribing. I could have... I don't know how to word, which is going to be a great time tonight, not knowing the word. Yes, thank you for the resubscribe. I appreciate the resubscribe. But yes, we are back with our weekly Ace Attorney. We are back in our Obligatory Beach episode, where Susato is defending, which I'm excited about. Let me grab... Let's get in. I've forgotten exactly where we left off, but I do remember... Oh, right, there was like a to be continued, wasn't there? It was like a good stopping point last week, if I remember.
Yeah, I ended up stopping a little earlier than normal.
Yes, just it was a very, very good spot, though.
Yep.
Yes, let's just get into it here. 13th August, 10:41 a.m. Supreme Court. I tried to mix court and judicature coachers. The Supreme Coacher. The most superior. Chiori on the brain, apparently. Supreme Court of Judicature, defendant's antechamber. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray.
You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone.
No, that's not it at all. I was just... I was scared of my failure coming to light. That's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no... Ray Sako. Wrong Ray. To you, I need to move chat real quick. I don't want it that corner. I don't want it that corner. Always comes back to Ensemble Stars.
Story of my life.
There's nobody else can be named Ray.
Yep.
I'm trying to think, like... Ray Sakuma wouldn't be the first Ray that comes to mind. I think for me, if you said Ray, I would think Ryugazaki from Free would be the first one to come to mind. But even still, I'd have to kind of like sit down in a minute. It wouldn't be an instant, oh my god, Ray from Free. That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence. That you'd stand by me to the last. I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. I'm no better, you know. Oh? Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato! I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no.
I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Facing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task.
Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray. Yes? You find it in your heart to forgive me? Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray.
We had an instance earlier in the day that was also yes, only one character can have this name. That's when I was like, oh yeah, I know someone named Junko in real life now.
Yes.
There can only be one Junko in the
There
universe.
can only be one Junko. No others. There's only one. Okay, to be fair though, there is one that is just so synonymous though, that at least in a good chunk of people's eyes, when you say the name, it's like, oh, Enoshima. I was so scared, you know. But when it happened, I didn't know what was going on. The English woman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. That was a great delivery. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time. That's right. Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that.
A great mystery indeed.
I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you, I'm going to prove everything you've said you saw is true.
Looking like a true Mikitoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order.
Yes. I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see.
Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin.
Chemical reagent?
I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier delivered to police headquarters.
Thanks, Dad.
I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case.
The chemical reagent's been entered into the court record.
Totally won't come up, lady.
No, not at all.
What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet.
It's this newspaper article. Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all that Englishwoman's doing! What? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swaned in, and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on that substance there."
Put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. Oh, you're Mikotoba. Soseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction.
So then, Soseki-san knew about the poison.
Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing on the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too.
This Menimemo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you at all when you went to the beach? Oh. No, I don't remember the reporter being there.
Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there.
Oh?
A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Saseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office.
Yeah, he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police.
Yes, that must be what happened. Does Ray's last name start with an M?
Yeah.
God damn it.
What?
The initials on the pen match the right-hand mini memo.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel dumb that I didn't catch that a week ago.
Yeah, it's all good.
Counsel! We just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. It's time to steal our resolve.
Yep.
Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Ray's put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I had to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day.
For some reason, when I said resolve, I leaned forward for effect, like it was going to do anything.
It's what's the word? It's the action that helps the delivery sometimes, you know?
It's method acting.
Yes, it's
Or something.
it's the method enunciation. Something like that. 13th August, 11:30 a.m. Supreme Court Adjudicature, Courtroom 1.
I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Mimbami. Prosecutor Aochi, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Shut up. Oh?
What news? And why does he look so happy about it?
During the recess of the collaboration in Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter, because he definitely had a hand in that happening.
Yep.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the reagent delivered to police headquarters by a rickshaw, so it'll be there in good time. Judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable.
And, Counsel? What were the results?
I don't fucking know. This dagger, which was so cruelly used in the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade.
What? Are you sure about that?
It would stake the reputation of the police someday.
It's not.
Well, bad news for them.
That's not. Has no stake for you.
Armed with the reagent, the test is extremely simple. You couldn't have made a mistake.
The murder weapon has been entered into the court record.
In short, the accused feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Unless we use the reagent on the pen, because I'd bet dollars to dimes that's how it was done.
Yep. I had a suspicion that was how it was done in the first place.
Yeah, because the empty ink vial.
Yeah, the
Chamber.
empty ink vial, plus having her like just clutch it in her grasp. That seems
Yeah.
kind of strange that she's gripping it in death.
Now the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
The newspaper reporter managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. The crucial moment is never actually the crucial moment.
Not usually.
Very well. Officer, bring in the witness.
No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case... Toxin have entered the victim's body.
Telekinesis.
Telekinesis! Man, could you imagine? Could you imagine if there was a poison that you could be affected by simply because someone thought about it in your direction?
Yeah, that's what happened here.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Old age, but new age.
Yep.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
His hand.
Which one of us is going to be right hand man? Many
I know, I was just trying to say, I'm like, did we pick one of us for him yet? I can't remember what we did last week.
He hasn't talked.
Okay.
He's just been in the background.
Okay.
I'm trying to capture like Newsy in my head, but it's not. Like I get close, but it slips away.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry you're not feeling good as far. Rest up.
Gee.
Myochi. Thanks for the resubscription as well. Appreciate it.
What does a Newsy sound like?
Hmm?
Trying to think of like what a Newsy would sound like. Am I using the right term here? Am I sounding stupid?
I think so. I know at the very
Which
least
part?
there's a musical called The Newsies, and I think they were newspaper related. I don't know.
Like the extra read all about it, that energy.
Yeah,
I don't know how to...
I don't like the I don't know. I hear like a stereotypical kind of nasally New Yorker voice in my head, but then in my head it goes to like stereotypical Italian mafia. I don't know why.
Hey, bada bing, bada boom, it's me writing many memo. It's also very Japanese-esque names, so that does not help.
Yeah. I don't know.
Write a mini memo, the show you news.
There
I'm
you
what
go.
people like to call a journal.
What's a giorno, Father? Do you know?
Journal?
Yeah, you know the popular character from JoJo. I know all about JoJo.
It's simply a contraction of journalist. How do you... That's one word.
Yeah.
I'm there where the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news.
A very Japanese man's...
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. What's the word? The route that we've gone down, at least for this particular game, is that the Japanese people have like
American voices.
yeah, it's American accents, and then the British people have some sort of abomination that you and I have decided on. Like,
It's British?
yeah, we do our best.
Yeah.
We try. Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it?
Well, well, what have we here?
I'm sorry.
Ooh, brace yourselves, people. Honey Memo senses a scoop in the offing. The fuck are you saying? Female student up to foul play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court.
This is with the Vishonen lawyer. Everybody thought Ryunosuke was really, really, really bishy, and then they saw Susato and they're like, oh, even bishier.
Strangely enough, the hardest part of me doing this voice is that there has to be a certain level of energy behind it,
Yes.
but I can't let it get too high,
Yes.
because then the mic doesn't catch it.
Yes. I understand. Also with him snapping those suspender straps, like it's a little over the top, but I understand the feeling. Anytime that I wear a costume with suspender straps, I always want to like snap them all day. I don't know why. I understand that urge though. There's something satisfying about it. And I like wearing suspenders too. I feel like I'm being hugged. I don't know why. I don't know why. Because there's some things that make me claustrophobic, but there's other things that I'm like, ah, yes, this feels like being hugged.
Raiders will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold at 72 point in a 5-leg format for the morning edition.
Huh?
Same.
Right then, let's start with your name.
Oh,
I
it's...
think it's supposed to go the other way around.
I'm the one being interviewed. This is no longer a testimony with a cross examination. This is an interview. It's Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Next, what made you want to become a lawyer?
Well, I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose.
Ryutaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see.
Dad, shut up! I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while.
By the way, my name is Taketsuchi Aochi. That's Taketsuchi Aochi.
Ouch!
We never pronounce it that way. It's like,
The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart.
You're not bishy.
Don't care, didn't ask. No, the readers won't buy that. What?
witness.
Yes?
This court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes stories call out me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you've got to be fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I always say. That's what I call my many memoism.
Many memoism.
Ah yes, I remember your face. I met that day when you were interviewing myself in Soseki-san.
Yes, right, that's me. Many memo again.
But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoyu News offices after our meeting.
But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest.
I think the blue mark on sign's gonna be something.
Miss Brett's words? I hope so. It's a fun little thing, but I hope it's a clue. Also, hi, Quacky. Welcome in.
Hello.
Thanks for the throw.
A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen?
Sir, your pencil. You need...
It's force done. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns.
I don't think you can just say that.
You just did. Oh.
Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad.
Oh my god.
This man puts me through my paces.
Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here, right? Here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Stop doing that. Serious criminal, going on some junket. People need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. Me, Manny Momo. To get the woman's story so I could hammer in the press.
You know, you're doing a great job with the voice. What I keep thinking about though, as the more time goes on with it, I feel like I've talked about this voice actor before, but I feel like this character would be very well voiced by a seiyuu named Shotaro Morikubo. I can't remember if I've shown you his voice or not, but he has a kind of nasally voice like that, similarly. And he's the thing I think off the top of my head when I hear him is the "Chotto mate kudasai" or "Chotto mateo," "Chotto mateo." That's what it is. That was his whole thing. "Chotto mateo," and he has kind of like a nasally voice, and a whole bunch of seiyus within the industry were doing Morikubo impressions. But like the voice I hear you give this guy, I'm like, oh my god, this would be great if he was voiced by Morikubo.
I think what caused it was I was channeling like Derby announcer.
Yeah.
Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand?
Of course, I caused it.
The grim scene portrayed in this photograph?
Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journal eyes.
I can't see Giorno and not think of JoJo. Because one of them was named Giorno, but it was spelled differently.
Yeah, Giorno, and not only that, but like, it's the really the Mimi song.
The Mimi song?
Yeah, Giorno's theme. How do I hum it? No, I can't hum it off the top of my head, but like it's good shit.
For some reason, my brain went to Wii Sports.
JoJo Wii Sports, obviously.
Good.
From start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trusty camera.
I needed him to stop.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Thank you, Mini Memo-san. You will now give formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed, the events surrounding Miss Brett's death.
The camera never lies.
His armband matches the butt of the pen, too.
His what?
His armband, the symbol, matches what was on the end of the pen.
Oh, that's true.
The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back.
Oh my god.
My smoldering journo spear burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I hooked out my camera, ready to click. Pull apart the rough weave of one of the screens and put the lens through for the perfect shot. Hello, Cookie Cyborg.
Hello. Welcome in. Read screens, you say?
Right. You can see them clearly enough in the great shot I snapped. On walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat.
Yep, Ryutaru, obviously our our new protagonist. And she's closely throwing back to JoJo references. Oh my gosh. I can't speak. I can't speak. What do I want to say? If I had a nickel for every time we had a JoJo reference tonight, I'd only have 2 nickels, but still, that's a lot more than I anticipated.
The night is still young.
The night is still young. Yeah, don't worry about it. Ryutaro, our new, young, baby-faced, protagonist. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was a breeze for me to put my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up.
Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut?
Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish.
And you say you took the photograph through a gap on one of the screens.
Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap.
Why is that highlighted?
For emphasis.
Uh-huh.
Would I get away with it? Or would I be seen? It was the gamble of a lifetime. A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's the minimalism in a nutshell. At last. It would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict.
No!
Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied. This testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news. Startling photograph. All the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published?
Oh, that's right.
Sir?
You just wanted to flex.
Seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood.
More pathetic excuses.
Although this man sounded like he might have also had revenge on the mind, so
Yeah.
since he was so pissed off about her being free.
Yeah.
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. And it's not just his camera. Or those suspenders slapping his nips.
That's many memos of
Oh my god.
makes me feel alive.
I run across a scene. I have to ask myself, is this reality? And I slap my suspenders up against my nips and I realize, indeed, I am awake.
I must be dreaming. Oh, nope, there it is.
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Are you a pervert?
Well, a journo instinct. Can you think of a better reason?
Yeah, you're a pervert that wants to spy on changing women. Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because there was... Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman.
Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journal as a voyeur.
It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge.
Joke's on you, I'm gay. Nope, you've got it all wrong, little student boy.
Sorry.
In my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender. Man or woman, it's all news. That's not even many memoism. That's basic journalism.
If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate.
Right. So if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Tell the court then, witness, what sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? A sight that vindicated my journo instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all as clear as day. Bare ass.
Damn. So you actually saw Membami-san entering the hut?
Yep. And she is raging. Raging like my journo spirit. Is that a euphemism?
We're gonna glaze over that. And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly?
You stole it. I didn't steal it. That kind of thing.
Talking about the poison, I suppose.
Poison for Cusco.
Cusco's poison.
That's the one. Student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and he started laying into her. I mean, if she'd laid into her any more, there would have been eggs.
Oh my god.
Man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism.
You should team up with Soseki.
The student's rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time.
He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest.
Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dark was mightily angry. And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me. Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film.
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place?
Yeah, precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw a whole other scene play out, from start to finish. Why didn't you, I don't know, intervene?
Yeah?
I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. That should have been like step one. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed. No. Right you are! It's all here in my mini memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on this stool at the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that.
Oh, this would be over in an instant if actual Jotaro was in your place? I don't know much about JoJo. I know, what's it? Jotaro voiced by Daisuke Ono? I think that's the only thing I know. Jotaro's
I can
Daisuke
never
Ono.
remember which JoJo was which.
Josuke, I think, was Yuki Ono? I think? I can't remember. I remember Jono is voiced by Kensho Ono. I remember that. She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down.
It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other.
Huh. What you describe as a grim scene indeed. Grim crime.
Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says.
Vita plan has been entered into the court record. By the way, Many Memo-san. Whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy, rather than capture it on film?
Yonos have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raison d'etre.
So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all?
Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in.
A voyeur.
Yep.
And that's something to be proud of, is it?
That's many memoism.
Uh-huh. I think voyeurism is the word you're looking for.
Yeah. It's encapsulated in that.
Yeah.
Your Excellency, if I may.
Yes, Professor?
I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony.
Father, what are you...
I will grant the defense's request. Anymore-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement.
Well, nihilism is the foundation of many memoism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. Yep.
Never once stepped foot in the hut or spoke with the Englishwoman. I was only there as an observer. This is our... Let's observe it here again real quick. Well, it's already been observed, so we'll see. Well, we know for certain that this emblem isn't that of Yume University.
Police really ought to have spotted that.
They were obviously... they were obviously convinced of race guilt from the outset. RM. The RM initials are very clearly engraved here. Thanks. I might be jumping.
Ash never noticed the broken lamp in the last case, so, you know.
Yeah. I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but... Music stopped.
Yeah.
Many Memo-san. Until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth.
You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. Thanks for showing that off, champ.
Yup, appreciate it.
In a way, that's small and many memoism.
Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth.
What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel?
Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen?
Ag!
This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died.
What are you?
I'm showing you solid evidence. If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Rain and Bummy.
Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also R.M.?
No.
Write-in memo. R.M.
In case you didn't get it.
That's horse dung. Can't you see? One of the central tenets of minimalism is being a pencil user.
And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain.
It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is.
Horsey horse dung.
Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in the beach hut?
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. Exactly. Sure, you news will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky.
The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky.
M?
And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there is another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is.
In that case, Counsel, defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies.
Happily. Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is...
The clip.
A what?
The clip.
Obviously. Whoops. There's some sort of emblem here. Look. But it isn't a Yuma University one.
Must belong to some other organization, I suppose. A business of some kind.
I wonder what it might be.
Donde está emblem?
Ah,
That would seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray.
Kokoda. As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, Memo-san.
Goodness me. It's the emblem of the Shoyu News.
Mm-hmm. In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Memo-san, how do you respond?
Nyeh.
Oh! Order, order! Explain yourself, witness.
So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it?
Evidence. Yes?
Yep. Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets.
Someone's been murdered. I've used nothing but honest tactics.
Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded, I, a Shore U news reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman.
An interview?
You never mentioned this before.
When exactly was this?
As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. Just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing. And as we many memoists say, the people who don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. But first...
It's time. I was just about to do it. What a perfect segue. Thank you, Soph. But first, before you give your testimony, Mini Memo-san, we must go to our hourly ad break to keep pre-rolled ads off for all of our viewers here. So if you guys will hang tight here just a second, get a drink of water, stretch out, all that good stuff, we'll be back after a few minutes. So, see you here in just a second. Alrighty, we are back from at break. That there. Thanks for the celebrate, Soph.
I was
Okay.
delayed.
You were delayed?
Yep.
It's okay, I think.
I almost forgot to do it.
It's okay, I think stream's delayed overall. Because OBS is being a bitch. You know, I have to wonder if it's just because I'm, what's the word? I'm using the powerline adapter, and that's already like a bottleneck to begin with, but I'm fairly certain my entire family is watching the Ranger game out in the living room because today's opening day. So I feel like they're probably streaming stuff live right now too, so probably not help in my case. It's fine. Fine, everything's fine.
Got it. Yes. All right. But on one condition.
You know, theoretically, Ace Attorney should not be, like, of all the games that I stream, Ace Attorney should be one of the ones that would give the least amount of delay. Because I'm not using... I'm using a separate device. I'm using a separate device that is hooked up through a wire to my computer that's not using anything on the network. And I'm streaming it from my computer. So my computer, all my computer's doing right now is streaming out to you guys and also on call with Soph. That is the only thing it's doing. Where some nights I have a game that's also pulling from the network. So I don't know why Ace Attorney is always like the problem child.
Condition. In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this.
I wasn't the only voyeur. There was another!
You can call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san.
Soseki-san?
Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Rachel Sells. It's not a harmless one. It's a big.
What?
I don't like hearing those words from a voyeur.
Yeah.
Many memoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story.
No, I don't
That's
like you.
That's not the saying.
Very well. Grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand.
Soseki-san. Hiding something. Witness testimony. The witnesses' secrets. They really want to like harass me with my inability to say noises correctly in sequential sequence.
I mean, it's not as bad as Miss Soseki.
Yes.
Not Miss Susto.
Miss Susato, yeah. I've gotten that done at least. I've gotten a little better with that one at least. Or Susato-san. I've gotten a little better with that one, but...
That one's easier because you don't have the asses buttered up against each other.
Yeah, witnesses is secret. So like that's 4 S's right back to back.
I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss.
What? I thought you... Alright.
Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized the victim still had a pulse, so she ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands that I reveal it now.
You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness? Ah, well, and what she did, you decided to ask her a question? Yeah, what? Yeah? That's untrue, yes?
Why is this strange?
He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused.
Of course.
This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack? You can't just call everyone yokel. It wasn't even conversational. Yes, I did pose the withering English rose question, I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. I want every juicy detail.
Yes, sir.
This court must and will know the...
Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter's claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth would have happened in that hut? Okay, but you said you had an interview. You asked her for an interview, you say?
Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year.
About the case in which Miss...
That's the one.
Oh, I'm so glad you understood. About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life.
That's not the way I phrased it. Many memoism calls for straight talking.
How is that not straight talking?
Why did you murder Dr. Wilson, is how I put it to her.
Yes, that sort of talk is as straight as a ruler.
Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in the restaurant, I say. It's the best way. The veteran of the paper taught me that.
And how did Miss Brett answer?
With one simple phrase.
Get out. What are you doing in my changing hut?
Mystery is a woman's charm. Whew, that told me. So I waltzed right out of there.
Really? Something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together.
Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. That... what? A veteran of the paper taught me that.
That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away.
Persistence wins the prize. Many memoists will tell you that. Let them think you've left, and just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop.
Oh my lord.
And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Yep, you're not wrong. I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify the witness.
And now that you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide except that stuff that I was hiding.
I'm sure.
Please do go ahead, witness. Court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it.
And Solsugi-san remained behind in the hut?
That's right, yep. Our other friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that haunted me whilst traveling abroad. Back behind baleful bars. They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I can think. I felt as though I were gasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat.
And suddenly, a cicada man will appear at my own home to drag me away. Poor Saseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply.
As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely. No sutras are to resound in my courtroom, please.
And now we come to the crucial part. That's when it happened.
And what did he ask? What question? What exactly did he say?
Well now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think.
Y'all brought a horse in here?
Mr. Ed?
Don't you, Mr. Ready Man?
Ag.
Out with it, you yokel hack! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman?
Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see?
Oh, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose. Even for a grown man.
But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air.
Ray.
I ran up the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as the Inspector Hosanaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from a dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin!
Well, what did you ask her, Soseki-san?
I asked her, who did this to you?
Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond?
She didn't. She said nothing in response. But...
I understand you will answer the question asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony. I will!
Huh.
Yeah, okay.
When the last one? Next to last one. So you tried to find out who the culprit was?
He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. And having been labelled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind.
Twice.
Twice?
Is there another time we didn't know about Soseki?
Unless they just, like, were suspicious of him because he was a weird shut-in.
I guess.
Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever. However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond, is that correct? I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache. Because I'm Japanese.
You know she was dying. Oh dear. The Seki-san has really developed a dislike for the English, it seems.
Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at this xenophobia. But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all!
You don't like Soseki's animations? I think they're fine. The only one that's really gotten on my nerves is the Hat Man. The Hat Man from the McGilda trial.
Oh.
That man,
Yeah.
the animation stressed me out to no end. I don't know why. Just watching it almost fall off his head every single time. I'm like, oh, every time I'm like, stop, stop, it's gonna fall. No, stop, please, catch your hat.
Itchy, Mr. Riderman? Huh? Well, yes. Alright. You'd respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose.
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Sasagi-san, is that really true?
It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, the student girl standing on the far side of her. When I asked, who did this to you? The Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength, pointed a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today.
Also where the hole in the hut was.
Yep.
No.
Soseki-san, why not did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But Fiddlesticks, I say! It's not a British court of law. Respond in Japanese.
It's a loan word. Pidururu stiksu. That position is wrong, no? From the diagram? I'm pretty sure it's correct.
At the time when people were entering, technically Ray would have been behind-ish the victim.
Yeah?
Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feels that perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. Somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all.
You mean that your memory of the events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear?
Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Eh.
Let me be unclear. Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because, as the court can see, there was no other person, no other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime.
Yep.
I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
No. No!
The headline's writing itself. Dashing Liar Soap's Dash. 92 points. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition.
Serious blow, Susato. Once we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over.
But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet.
Impossible the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learnt thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need.
Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question.
I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add.
So, the gallant Yokel students' luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised.
I like how
There's
they
zero
all...
professionalism here. Get the fuck out of here.
I like how they all take an altered testimony like it's fact immediately. Yeah, that's how it goes.
You've all been lying to me for the past 2 hours, but you know what? Shit. I guess I'll believe you this time.
Yup.
In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter for realsies this time.
This is a crucial turning point now. If I can establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? Well, obviously I gotta say I know. Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being.
Oh? We're not adjudicating any time beings. To what end, Counsel?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
An alternative theory? Ha! None exists.
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed that crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction. Fantasy. Final Fantasy.
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaru Naruhodo,
Yes, Your Excellency.
you will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Outside the hut?
Yeah? I don't... can't reach up there though.
It's to the left of the seat that she was sitting on.
Just to the
It's
left.
not from where you took the photo. Because she gets stabbed directly in the back
Oh,
while she was sitting.
right, yeah. Where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Can I save though? Thank you. let me save. It's my security blanket, okay? Naruhodo-san would never give up. And I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut?
That's just a theory. A game theory.
Well, hell! Order, order, order! The student lawyer Naruhodo-san, Esquire. That makes no sense at all. You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap.
That is not the perspective you got your scoop snap.
But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about, I can swear to that. Obviously, the culprit had been outside the hut. There's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim inside the hut.
Oh, en contraire.
If we can fit a camera through, we can fit a knife.
Actually, Prosecutor Ouchi, there is a way.
Ah,
And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that it's precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
you're bluffing. You're bluffing.
Yoko.
Evidence's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You'll need to give us more guidance, Counsel. I'm kind of stupid. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut?
That one?
I feel like it's got to be one of the two photos.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with this one because it shows specifically. Like, granted, yes, we see. Oh yeah, there's a hole he's taking a picture from, right? But this specifically shows like the hole directly behind where Miss Brett was sitting.
Yep. The original photographic print of the crime scene.
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing.
You are all just babies. I'm the world's greatest detective. I'm here to save you all. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Fuck. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing which you claim took place from outside the hut?
Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No, I can't. I can't say any such thing.
Are you using your glasses properly? Are they fogged over? Have you opened your eyes?
And see.
It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary.
Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut.
Oh.
And of everyone present at the scene, There's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right in Many Memo-san! It could only have been you.
Now. This is a preposterous idea. It leaves me almost speechless. Look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
No, of course not.
Or not?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable.
I forgot about the turtle hat.
Oh my god.
A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool.
My word! So, in fact, the victim was...
Killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen.
Ah!
Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Minbami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Memo-san. I take it that you don't deny the charge.
This is... absurd! That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter. Which means the defendant, Minbami-san, is innocent of the crime.
It feels too easy. Oh, thank goodness. Finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud. No. Can't be. The Ouchie clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope. Stop calling it that. It wasn't all an aberration. I can't accept this, I won't. I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my... Counter memo. Ha ha ha! Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals?
But we've established that the victim was stabbed from the outside of the hut, through read screen walls.
And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. Perfectly logical deduction. Did we really prove it, though?
Okay,
So,
well...
what?
Sorry, I was just going to say, he literally said that he part of his testimony said that there was nobody else outside the hut at the time, I would have seen them. And so
Right.
it is circumstantial still. But even still, if this is the line of thinking we're going on, he can't really talk his way out of it because he's the only one there. Like, he would have to provide additional evidence to be like, okay, I said that there was no one out here, but I swear there was someone out here.
But we also didn't prove that that was how she died. Is
True.
the thing.
Someone could have just tickled her back, stuck their hand through the hole.
Weirdos. I mean, Benny Memo is a.
I was about to say, it's kind of weird.
So, the argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now.
Irrelevant?
Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, that she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else.
What are you talking about?
Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up.
What?
Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. Well, explain. I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison for Cusco.
That's the one. The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand the deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used.
Okay, but for them to know that this is a side effect, at the very least in humans, did they test this on people?
I feel like it would have similar effects on anything.
Potentially, yeah.
I see. So, presumably that means... the victim already had poison in her body before she was stabbed? If their pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. She'd been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. Ah, how refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed whom and whose back and with whose blade. Yes, I stabbed her, but it's irrelevant.
I knew she was dying anyway.
It was an attempted murder, but I wasn't the one who did it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Forgotten already, have we, Yotel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon was used to attack the victim, had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be the headline-making red herring. Is that about right?
That's not right. Um, well,
Nerd.
uh,
Order, order, order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniable obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it.
you mean she drank it?
Another look at the photograph here, as you can see. A bottle of carbonated water and a glass has been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. Poison could have been slipped into either.
So someone made Miss Brett drink it.
Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page spot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, it's been established already.
Established? What are you talking about?
Huh? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you!
Me? What on earth does he mean?
Oh, let me catch those white eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. You see, this trial is not distant end yet after all.
Would have been too easy.
I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot at a magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you are the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a Turno and I'm a man. I never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. I'm not about to start now, because that's money memoism.
For a brief moment, I thought I'd illuminated the truth. I slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where's this trial going to take us? Complete innocence.
Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman? I had already poisoned her. When I heard the student girl and the pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. The courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did. Someone else would have to see justice done.
So, you admit it then? And everything happened as I described? You're the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen.
You can blame this miserable country of ours. Country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me.
That's right. You guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart.
They're implicating Ray again.
She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. Suddenly snap! There's Jono here is off the hook.
Well, not really.
The argument is sound, certainly. The witness had administered the poison himself. He need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
Unless he was thinking about this and was like, I'll throw them off my trail.
And therefore, this report had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical.
Yeah, sure. This guy's more annoying as a person than Soseki. I don't dislike Soseki. He has a spot in my heart. Many Memo though is a little obnoxious.
I mean, he's the villain. I don't think you're supposed to like him.
Sometimes you like the villain.
All right, Arya.
That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last.
This is unbelievable. And after I'd made so much progress in proving his guilt, I'm gonna get away with it now? Smack. Thank you, Cosmo-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel.
There it is.
Shit, I missed it!
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Yes, Your Excellency. Right. So, you do admit that you had murderous intentions towards Miss Brett then?
Ah, woman's very existence offended my sense of justice.
Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation?
He was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who'd committed murder right here on our Empire soil. Just like me. But look, good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice, put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it.
So, in summary, murderous intentions then?
Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That Englishwoman was a blight. So I had to do what was right for society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dark, crime for which she must pay.
How is it any different?
I feel like stabbing somebody should not be written off as innocent
Yeah.
if someone else beat you to killing them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, even still, like,
if not for the poison, you would have killed her.
yeah, if not for the poison, you would have killed her. And even still, I don't know about not ancient, but like early 1900s Japanese law, but you could still get in serious trouble for desecrating a body. Like, a dead person, you start going just like fucking it up too, you can get in trouble for that. You're tampering with evidence of a crime scene. I don't know what else, but you can still get major trouble for fucking with that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, anything exceptional about this? The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know.
It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be of little help here, I'm afraid.
Why isn't it in German? Couldn't you just have written medicine on it in Japanese? And we'd all be able to read it.
German is the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the merit of labeling the bottle in Japanese. I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate.
Mm. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get anything new from this, but
Probably not yet.
yeah. I'll check marks. Mm. Is something wrong, Father? Oh,
Just
no.
that there doesn't actually. Okay.
I was like, oh, maybe? No, it's no ink. Real helpful. Worth a shot. Mm.
Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all.
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim?
Obviously. Maybe like putting a belt on your trousers when you were already wearing braces like this.
Someone tell Achi he's apparently overdoing it.
The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. And that's how the law works, you see. Yokel! Who knows, you may even learn something here today. Two consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes. What a day for the victim. Do something that evil and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning.
Really now? Are you sure that's... Is vigilantism part of many memoism?
Apparently.
That's not the kind of law this court upholds.
You reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim, witness.
What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. Student girl was laying the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson. Professor of Medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikitoba, no less. Right. But the Englishwoman just jeered. Their case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there is little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. There was eating that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her. Which is why I framed her.
Okay, before we hear what Ray wants to object about, we need to take our hourly ad break here to keep pre-roll ads off for you guys. So if you'll hang tight here just a few minutes. I wish it would just be a few seconds. If you'll hang tight here just a few minutes, get a drink of water, stretch out, all that good stuff. We will be right back in a few minutes. Alrighty. Thanks for the celebrate, Soph.
Yeah.
Thanks for the celebrate as well, Aspar. Okay. Let's get into it. I can't. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray.
Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
But this awful man is making all this up. So please, you have to make them listen.
No, shut up. Return to the Darker Ones, Mbami-san. You're in the middle of cross-examination.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great-peeping Tom.
Whoa, take it easy there.
Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks. I will grant the request of the defense. But Your Excellency, this is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
We have to give the freaky blue cat a little bit of a break.
It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison. Okay, we'll just go to that, I see. Another celebrate? Thanks for the celebrate again, Aspar.
That's when Aspar got up.
I wonder. I wonder. I'm sorry stream's so delayed. One day I'll have decent internet. One day I will. It can't be helped that today was opening day. We're a baseball household, you see. The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
Even when she had a whole, like, boned skirt, like...
And a sentient hat.
Yeah.
That's true! I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Just in places I didn't even know I had. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see. And since Soseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with the deadly poison. What?
Huh?
I would look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that.
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that there would be an incident involving it somehow. It wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It would be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Ah, yes. Lenny Memo-san. One small question, if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy?
You're also on the stand. Talk.
Clearly, you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about that you heard? Exclusive? Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory? The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about.
Why are you sweating bullets?
I didn't shoot anybody.
Yes! Look at this! The entire article! Is almost what I said to Miss Brett! Word for word!
Hey,
Well, Many Memo-san.
As a journo, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of many memoism.
Cite your sources. Credible papers, cite their sources. Father's clearly right about this. The reporter did write that article. He based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. The details of the poison article have been updated in the court record. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her.
Shut up. My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want to get it on record.
very well. You may amend your formal testimony. Again.
Heh. Heh. Heh.
Sorry, please stop making weird noises. It's hard to do.
He pants like there's what's the word? Like there's I think those dog toys where you like squish the rubber and it's like a goose or it's a goose or a duck or something and it goes ah. Ah. What he said?
I'm just so tired from revealing the truth.
Sure. Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make sure your victim would die.
That's force done.
What?
That'd be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you even tasted it. Completely reckless. Although, it might surprise you to learn that I'm a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer, as it happens.
That's not something you want to follow up with using that simile.
Yeah.
That's reckless, but I happen to be that kind of person. Uh-huh. Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that.
If it was the reporter who gave the poison in his breath, then clearly... He must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut.
Yes, that's undeniable.
But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation.
Sorry? What change?
The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman.
Ah. Yes, that's it. That's when Memo-san's first found out the exact nature of the poison he'd used. That could be the key here. Really?
If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable.
There's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder.
If we can think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her, even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for.
Yes, I agree. And in order to do that, I must try to glean more information. Okay, so... hers got added. That was new. We were discussing the stolen poison. Reported Memo-san based it on information he gleaned by eavesdropping. Oops. No trace of poison was found on the blade. Let's look at it.
Ah yes, this must be the victim's blood.
Oh dear. Well, that's never a pretty sight, is it? I'm having to fight the urge to burn it under a hot tap and get it clean.
You've always been fastidious about cleanliness, haven't you?
I think this is something else, Father. Anything exciting? This knife?
What?
What?
Blood not exciting.
What?
Blood not exciting.
No, we see this all the time. This is the usual. Okay, we've looked at it. What exactly are we trying to do? What are we trying to prove here?
Prove that he didn't know that the poison was going to kill her? Because we have to prove that he was the one that poisoned her.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if I poisoned her, why did I also stab her? Riddle me that, fucker.
Yeah. But if he they had their Ray and Brett had their discussion before she was stabbed, though. So if he's eavesdropping,
Step one is that he poisoned the drink.
yes,
Step 2 is that they had the conversation.
Yes.
Step 3 is that he stabbed her.
yes. So, is what we're, oh my god, I can't speak. Are we looking for something? We're looking for something to prove that he... How do I want to phrase this? I can't even think how I want to think about this. My brain's not functioning. So the idea is that, well, isn't it more incriminating? Well, I guess it could be subjective, but is the thought process I went through, isn't it more incriminating that he stabbed her even after having... Well, he wouldn't have known she was poisoned. Okay. Theoretically, he poisoned her, right? Doesn't know anything about the poison. Leaves the hut. hears about the poison and is like, oh shit, this is like some hardcore stuff. And still proceeds to stab her in the back because, in his reverse psychology thinking, that was the plan anyhow? I'm not phrasing this properly. The wires are not connecting, I'm sorry. I don't know how to explain this.
I mean, I can see where there would be a disconnect in that. Where if he used the poison and then learned that it was good enough to kill her, then why did he stab her?
Yeah, then why did he stab her? Unless he was using it as like a cover to be like, well, if I knew that, you know, if I had the poison, I wouldn't know what was going on. And I heard about the poison from the conversation, so why would I have stabbed her if I already knew about the poison and I supposedly poisoned her?
You ever watch The Princess Bride?
I have not. I've only seen the
Oh.
memes.
There's a scene that incidentally involved drinking poison, and there was one cup that was poison and one cup that wasn't.
Uh-huh.
And the conversation that he had during that entire thing was a lot like what's going on right now.
Mind melding. Great voice acting? I'm not sure what that's in regards to, but the compliment is appreciated.
Again, he's kind of behind.
I know, I have no clue what's in regards to, but even still, the compliment can be appreciated. OBS taunts me. It turned green for 2 seconds and then went back to red immediately.
Awesome.
Shaking my head. Hi, Lily! Welcome in! Thanks for the honk. It's probably gonna be a bit delayed though, so 3 minutes in the future, hopefully you hear a honk in our hellos. OBS. Are you gonna stay green? Are you gonna stay green, OBS? That would be astounding.
Seemed like Lily wasn't on too much of a delay.
No. Well, okay, she could have potentially just been saying hi to say hi for hello's sake.
No.
I jinxed it. I jinxed it. I looked over it again and it turned red. Ugh. We're not gonna look at OBS. We're not gonna talk about OBS. Wasn't much of a delay? That's good. Glad that there wasn't much of a delay. Maybe, you know, the delay might also happen too the longer the longer that you say in stream, the farther behind you get. Okay, so we're trying to find a way to imply that he didn't know about the poison, because then that would go hand in hand with proving that his intentions were to poison her and potentially stab her afterwards as like a plan B. I think that's where we're going with this, at least. Oh, brain.
You lost the thread at this point.
I. Who knows? Oh my gosh, there's an explosion. Sucks, I'm innocent. Thanks, Soph. Thanks, that's how I feel right now. My brain's buffering as a stream. Why would I bother to stab the woman if I already poisoned her? I had a student girl in that palm thing. I got my goat. What are you doing, Dr. Wilson? We were discussing the stolen poison. The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to go and stab the person as well. I'd say either that one or that one is probably what we have to do something.
This one's my leaning.
Why would I bother to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? What do we have though that goes hand in hand with that? Make a save. Save. Okay, we've already pressed on this. Well, this is not one of those instances where we had. Oh my god, hold on, let's try it again and see. So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim?
Obviously, I'd be like putting a belt on. Yep, trousers, braces.
Yes.
You don't have braces, you idiot.
Yep.
They're fine.
Okay. It wasn't that. Why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I had already poisoned her? Is it as simple as presenting the article? Because that's what changed. Being like, you literally just learned this information. I swear. Well, I can think of one reason.
What?
But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all this information for the news? Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
I don't think he's gonna answer that. Of course he did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that there was a terrible toxin.
And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Minbami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Where are you going with this, counsel? If you'd shut the fuck up, we'd find out.
Minbami-san had made it very clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it.
Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison if the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Minbami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
Stop. Continue. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Minbami-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article. Namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs of death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Ah! The Fulman Laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. And Bami-san being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, right in many memo.
Yog.
It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. And it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So, you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
But what good could that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he?
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would have ever suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use. Which he attempted to do by plunging a knife in the middle of the victim's back.
Order, order, order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward? Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures his remnants of his... that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top-knot, he's clinging to lost hope.
Lost... Oh... Ugh. You pathetic, useless fallen samurai. I forgot his fucking voice somehow. I'm doing this all the time.
Oh my.
I don't need a counter-argument.
What are you talking about?
To be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say? Gave it to the victim, you say? Stabbed her, you say? Lots of fine theories. I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? Without evidence, it means nothing.
Come on, let's go swab that pen.
Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Shoyu News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. Surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or my colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blown the story wide open? See, I write in many memo, mere reporter from the Shoyu News. Couldn't possibly have stolen the poison from the professor's laboratory. Unless you have the hidden compartment in... I don't know what I was going to say, his camera. It was in his pen. It's like, aha, got it. Wait, I already solved it like an hour ago. Well, I guess a week ago, technically.
Technically, yeah. But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. Stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case... As you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here.
What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? What?
What an insult. My point is this. There's one way that you, Manimemo-san, could have stolen the poison that day.
I've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. But what must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question?
When someone's so attractive, it makes you angry. I see that a lot in fandom spaces. I do. Honestly, there's a couple characters I feel that way about. I'm like, oh, you're so fucking obnoxious, but look at you! Can we not do anything?
I guess we present that?
We've been smacked on the hand before, though, for not examining it and getting, like, the details on something.
Right.
That says there's a small amount of liquid still inside the ink reservoir, I guess, but... Like how some things are just so cute you feel aggressive. I don't feel that way when I see something cute. Like, something cute has to also be obnoxious in a way for me to also feel aggressive. Oh no. The proof, Your Excellency, is his fountain pen.
A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant?
Also, might I say, as far, you're the one that has a grudge against Alhaitham. I love Alhaitham with all my heart. Just saying.
I've never once heard her badmouth Alhaitham.
Yeah, I love Alhaitham. These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now.
I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad.
Oh, just you wait though. They start adding balls to the pens. You'll never believe it.
How lewd.
How lewd, right?
Well, as a thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Succubus soupçon of sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye.
That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later.
What's all this talking of sucking up ink have?
And just as it's possible to suck up ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course.
My word! Can this really be?
Well, many memo-san. When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib into the pen's reservoir.
Yarg. More absurdity. That never happened.
True. We've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places?
No, I'm a little ashamed to say. But for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Minimemo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Are you suggesting?
The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example,
Let's shut this man up. Just swipe the fucking pen with the reagent.
witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink?
And also, he said that she didn't really give him any answers
He
to
gave
stuff.
one answer, and he left being like, I know the truth behind this one short phrase.
Except the one answer was like, I remain mysterious. Haha.
Ha ha
Rock and all, my friend.
ha.
What?
As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, it would, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Nerd. Witness, what do you have to say in your defense?
I didn't do it.
I'm just a innocent little boy. Whoa! So, this is how a modern justice system works, is it? So one thing my pen runs dry, so my pencil snaps. I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve.
Graphite Wolverine.
Just stop breaking them.
Put assault in the court with your pencils, sir.
You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. Bring me my dropper. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. No such evidence could possibly exist.
Sure.
Minimamo-san, this is how our modern justice system works.
Every time she talks, I have to stop myself because I get so used to being all the voices.
Yeah.
What?
In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you.
Very well, then. I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence.
This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison.
And so, what is that bottle?
This bottle contains a unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question.
Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method.
Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison.
A reagent? What?
One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Minimamo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt.
No, you can't. I won't.
Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency. What?
Oh.
Your Excellency. The defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once.
This is my fault. Environment is strength.
Suzuto, with me. I'm here. Hiya! Did I do it right? That was a Suzuto takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present.
When I saw it there in the lab, the poison. The devil got hold of me, and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, watching the reservoir out carefully.
And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen.
Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Minimamo-san. Why did you steal it? What purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it's a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead?
I went into that hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all. As a reporter. A known killer enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face.
Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really? You must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways. You ignorant plebeian.
What did you call me?
Say it again, you ignorant plebeian. This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back to the cave from which you came from.
That's what I remembered. But the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, and she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my general spirit, getting all fired up.
I'd like to ask you something.
Yes?
You often talked about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought.
There's no justice in the press.
Sorry.
After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was.
A cover-up? What do you mean?
I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on. Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet, that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that, behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan.
What sort of deal?
I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. You know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? Our government is going to let criminals walk free? They're going to crush the free press? What choice do I have but to see the justice is done myself?
Well, let's not forget, Minimemo-san, that you committed murder yourself. And you tried to lay the blame to the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett.
What?
The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all.
Hey. I suppose. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion of this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaru Naruhodo.
Oh! Yes. Sorry, Your Excellency. just musing in a manly way here.
Thinking about power tools and stuff.
Yeah, because we have power tools in the early 1900s Japan.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thinking about manly things like hakama and katanas and gakurans. Yep. Yep.
Well, it's unbelievable that this is your first experience at the Spring Court. It was an excellent performance. And Ruth very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Oh, Naruho's Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago. The way you handled this one. It gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Aochi, do you have any final thoughts? He's gonna chop off the growth.
Prosecutor Ouchie.
Hi, Akatsuchi of the Aochi clan. I've been bested by a callow youth not once now, twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Why are you guilty, Pierce? Why you're guilty?
Because he pierced my heart. I'm dead.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living on in shame. I'll end it all now with this blade. That is the true path to Aochiism.
Why is everybody got an ism?
Ouchie-ism?
One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Sprig of my topknot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Takatsuchi.
A haiku.
Shing!
Sparkles. What the tism, not the ism. Oh my god. Why are we all silent in reverence?
It's a symbolic death.
Sure.
Now, in regard to the defendant, Rei Membami-san,
Yes, Your Excellency?
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you
Yay!
I don't know why, but I found that when I do this judge's voice, I will occasionally roll R's when I'm saying people's names. Court is adjourned.
Smack. Okay, before we get into the after scene stuff here, I'm going to go ahead and do our hourly ad break so that doesn't interrupt us in the middle of our thoughts here. So, if you guys will hang tight, we'll be right back after a few minutes here. It's a good time to stretch out, get a drink of water, and all that good stuff so we can keep pre-roll ads off. We'll be right back. Alrighty. Back in here, thanks. Celebrate Soph. And didn't time out on me. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, let's finish off this case. 13th August, 2:38 p.m. Supreme Court Adjudicature. Defendant's antechamber. Oh, I think it's defendant's antechamber like 3 or something. It's over.
My heart's still pounding in my chest, though. That's all I can do just to stay standing. Bears have such great responsibility. Such a great burden to bear. Someday, Naruhodo-san. Susato! Susato! Thank you. Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh, no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends. Equals. And the trial's over. So no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger. Whoa. Throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... What? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right. I see. I'll, think about it, Ray. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man. And it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anyone else we could throw together? What? Isn't there anybody else we could throw together? Oh.
They want to do a joint toss of somebody.
Yeah.
I hope you're not looking at me, Ray.
Oh, my goodness! No, of course not. Of course not! There it is at last. Ray's lovely smile.
You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you, Defense Attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Thank you. But I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Megatoba now. So, I'll never see him again then? What a terrible shame! What?
Right. What is happening?
Sasagi-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well.
Is that really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me. Susato Mikatoba.
I don't. So dashing. So divine. No. Ugly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Mr. Susato-san Esquire, that you were welcome student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin.
Well,
No, yeah, alright. Astonishingly astounding ace attorney. I said it.
you said it! Time to roll the credits!
Poor Sasagi-san. So confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Sasaki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea. I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau. Who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less?
Soph? Daijoubu desu ka? We shall sit here for a minute then. Thinking that everybody seems to be fawning over cross-dressing Susato. Everybody's under the Bishy spell. This has been fun though. I liked having Susato as the main attorney. Plus they've got to do like the trial warm-up one, right? Good excuse to throw her in. Now I just wonder how she'll get back to Japan now. Because obviously her dad seems to be doing better. Fingers crossed. So I'll leave so many other questions that we need to answer from the first game. And the spoiler that I will forever sit on, apparently. Part of me wants to find out what case that gets answered in, but at the same time I'm like, I shouldn't go look up that stuff because I'm gonna get more spoilers. We shall sit for now. Let's see, what can we talk about in the meantime here? My brain's kind of fried, it's too late to be thinking. Thoughts? What are thoughts? Not anything that happens. Quack! I hear a
Roommate
quack.
aggro.
Hmm?
Roommate aggro.
Ah. I figured as much, but
Yeah.
even so I was like, oh! Daijoubu! Everything okay?
So
Soph is dead, Soph died.
listen real close, you can still hear his voice to this day.
You know? I'd be like, Soph is dead, I'd be like, oh man, so you truly were in a work life. A work like killing game. I came for you.
You showed up in my house.
I showed up in your house. A body has been found.
The reference I definitely get.
Yes. Danganronpa.
I figured. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector.
Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see.
Just two, really. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope.
Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector.
Well, I am a professional, of course.
I do worry about Inspector Hosanagi sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey.
Okay, well.
Kazuma! Though, that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama?
From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year.
Ah, yes. He was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. The man I invited to Japan personally.
The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now the culprit herself is dead. We'll probably never know the answer.
On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Herlock Sholmes. The great detective, I mean.
Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course.
My arch nemesis. How lightly you utter his name.
Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl will never see her beloved father again.
As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another one, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I've returned. When I left England, it was because of an urgent telegram that arrived It was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed with a high fever, and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know. Because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of.
Dear me, you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, sister. Sorry, my dear, I simply can't.
I?
Ha! 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 Me.
Many memos, son! So, one throat wasn't enough for you?
I've got one last thing to say before they take me away, Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. That visiting student's fate.
Visiting student? Giselle Brett, you mean?
No, not her. The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago.
What? Student of law? He must mean... Kazuma-sama? What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama?
Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship. Oh. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. Just coming to tell you that the rickshaws arrived, Eugen. It's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him. Very shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency.
Ha 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 ha. The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. You're your father's friend, Seshiro Jigoku.
Chigoku, oh my god. I don't know about the Seishiro part, but Jigoku is a name. I'm not sure if it's the only name, but it is at least one of... It is a singular name that could be used to describe hell, like Japanese hell.
Oh. Dare say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance.
Everybody's just like overtaken by my Bishonen charms.
Susato.
Did you know all along? From the start of the trial?
Ha 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 ha. Adrub sees everything, Susato. Except for all that shit that I don't. Could you explain it to me in detail? I'm stupid. I couldn't let you take the risk. Seishiro here hadn't known, and then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, like an old friend. So, Seishiro, Valley. Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father.
Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date.
Quit trying to escape this conversation!
But well done again, both of you. You did admirably.
Oh, thank you very much.
What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? A while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha.
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett? About Dr. Wilson? And now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime. When nobody else is around.
Judicial Assistant Mikitoba-san Esquires. Would I have a word?
Oh, yes, of course, Soseki-san. What is it?
I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now.
You see, there's something I can tell you. Is it about the double crime that you mentioned?
Oh, yeah?
I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England.
This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once.
I will. Right before I'm heated. As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Some awful things I was embroiled in. Goodness, locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experience in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report.
My father?
He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. It was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan.
What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in.
I don't really know exactly. Do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in?
Just one,
No.
actually.
Of course I could never forget.
What?
Whoa.
Because I thought he left immediately
Immediately
after
after!
his case.
I don't know.
Because the third case was Willy Wonka, the fourth case was Soseki, and the fifth case was Willy Wonka revisited.
Yeah. And Soseki was gone immediately after his case. So, like, we met him, we're like, oh my god, hi. And he's like, oh my god, another Japanese person. My life has been saved. And a lawyer at that, my life has been saved. So it was the first meeting. And he left immediately afterwards. What's going on?
Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case.
The second one? You mean... You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public?
Oh. I see where we're going with this. So, presumably he left afterwards, which, like, really throws you off. But there is a case in this particular game that's, like, the original one's, like, the Clouded Kokoro. There's something, it's a something Kokoro in this one. So I remember looking at the walkthrough and being like, wait a second, what is this? I don't remember this. Hold on a second. I'm like, oh, I'm in the wrong game. So I think it's where the, what's the word? The player is oblivious, but the characters know something, and we're setting up for the next case, which I assume is probably the Kokoro one.
Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is... It seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions.
I sure hope so.
That horrific, hideous, heinous case of the haunted lodgings.
That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought that whole business was over. But it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
To be continued. Oh no, just end a case, not to be continued.
こうしてかの英国留学生の事件は決着がついたのでございます。大師院に立ってほんの少し分かったような気がいたしました。なるほど様が異国の法廷で何に立ち向かっているのか
うい
を。今日はもう一つお知らせしたいことがあって筆を取りました。夏目漱石様がおっしゃった二つ目の事件。父は何も語りませんが、あの事件にはどうやら大きな謎を解く重要な鍵が眠っているようでございます。あの事件の記録はお部屋の棚の左隅に残しておきました。よろしければ振り返ってみてはいかがでしょうか。日本はいよいよ夏の盛り、今日も抜けるような青空でございます。なるほど様、もう一度お会いしたく存じます。すさと。
Sister success! Awarded! I would love to say. I sure hope we finally start getting some answers. Oh my gosh, it's Sholmes' shadow. You better start answering some questions, Mr. Detective. Better start riddling it out. I want some answers. I want some answers. But yeah, that was the end of... I totally forgot what it was called. But yeah, the Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. There it is. That's what it is. I remember the other one was just the Clouded Kokoro or something like that. But yeah, that was fun. I liked having Susato as the main. There's not many Ace Attorney characters that I really dislike, so it's nice to see whenever things kind of switch around. Very fun. Let's see. See if there's anyone online to read out to. Let's see. You know what? Oops, I hit the wrong button there. Oops. That's the button. Okay, looks like Vampy is streaming right now. She's streaming something called Control, which I don't know what that is, but alas, we will send her our love anyhow. Today is Thursday, and so our next stream is going to be scheduled for Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find the schedule posted on Twitter, which will be the pinned tweet. It shows what everything we're doing for the week. Twitter's also a good place to keep track with what's going on in case I have to shift stuff around. I'm not sure. I think I should be able to... What's the word? I should be able to keep that time on Saturday, but I have a lot of things going on that day, and I have to drive out to the city, so we will see. We will see. I will keep you guys updated if it changes. Another place, if you want to keep track and, you know, not only keep track of what's going on, the announcements and stuff, but also hang out with everyone off stream, feel free to join my Discord. My Discord is still new, but if you guys want to hang out, it's definitely a good place to be as well. I post my announcements and stuff in there as well, so it's also another place to see what's going on. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Covered my bases there. Streaming Saturday, talked about the schedule. Yes, I think it is. I can't think of anything else to talk about at least. Brain's ready to go to sleep and take on yet another day at work. But no, it's not ready to do that. It's just ready to go to sleep.
Ready for the sleep part.
Huh?
Ready for the sleep part.
It's ready for the sleep part, and it just so happens that there's another day of work following the sleep, but
And
Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get the raid started here. So thank you everyone for coming to hang out with Soph and I tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed stream, even though it seems like we've been having terrible delays. OBS says that I have 61.8% of dropped frames, so that's exciting. I love when that happens. But yeah, I'll see you guys again on Saturdays. So until then, this has been Michio signing off. I hope you guys have a good night. So see you. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I totally forgot about the raid message. That's what I did. The raid. Raid 2. There we go. Raid messages. I remembered the very last second there. Grab your raid message so we can go give Vampy our love. But yes, this is Michio signing up for real this time. I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see you guys again on Saturday. Bye, guys!